Hello, Pastor. This is Eric from Christian Outlets, and I'm here with Raul, the founder of The Sunday After and Christian Center Fuego de Dios, who's going to be sharing his testimony about how he met and encountered God.
When I was 12 years old, my parents, they were not churchgoers. They were not your typical people that even believed in God. They didn't believe in God at all. My dad's sister was the main point of contact, that she was always the one that believed in God. She was the one that was always inviting my dad consistently to church and, hey, you should come to church. And my dad would actually make fun of her, like, how you go to church? Like, oh, you believe in God? Like, you gotta cut that. You gotta stop inviting me. As a matter of fact, I'll invite you to this party. I'll invite you over, to go drink, go party. That's where I grew up. There was this one time that my dad's sister invited my dad to church, and she said, hey, you know what, like, there's gonna be this preacher that God uses him. God gives him names and certain information about people that he prays for. You should come. So my dad was like, nah, like, I'm not gonna go there. And so my dad is curious at the time and thinking about it. Should I not go? Because at that time, my dad's grandfather is very ill. He has Alzheimer at this point, and because of the Alzheimer, he forgets about everybody's name. He forgets about his own kid's name, his grandchildren's name. He doesn't remember anyone. At this point, he's thinking about it and he's very doubtful about it. He decides to go to church with myself and my mom. And when we go to church, God speaks to him through this guy, right? This guy is just praying. And then all of a sudden, he just looks over to my dad. And have in mind, this church is not a small church. There's over a 300 plus, almost 500 people for that night that were showing up. And he gets called out of the blue, by name, and tells him, hey, Raul, I want you to come in so that I can pray for you. And so have in mind that that time my dad is so skeptic, but at the same time, he has his own grandfather in mind and saying, you know what, like, I'm going to go and ask for my grandpa. And this is something that only family knew about it, right? He gets to the front of the stage where the preacher is at, and the preacher starts praying over him. And then he tells him, God says yes, that he is going to heal your grandfather. My dad is in shock. And that's the night, right, where we have this encounter. Well, my dad has this encounter with God, and he's like, whoa, this is insane. I have never stepped into a church. He has never stepped into a church. He was not a believer in God. But if for some reason, God had all this planned for him.
This preacher had never, well, he was not a pastor from that church.
Not
He
a
would just
pastor.
visit.
He would
So
just
there was
visit.
no way for your dad's sister to have told him about the situation.
Exactly. Exactly. This preacher, he's from out of town. He doesn't know anybody there. There was no way possible that my dad's sister could have said anything to this person. And here's the more interesting part, right? So if a person is suffering from Alzheimer, obviously it's something that, it's not like, oh yeah, this person told me to pray for your grandpa and about his Alzheimer and he's gonna heal, right? Because what is the actual evidence is what happens afterward. So did the miracle actually happen? Did these things really happen? Did God really speak? And so my dad has always been that curious guy. So the next day he goes to the nursing home where his grandpa was at, and have in mind his grandpa was there for a year and a half already. And so he goes and checks on him, and guess what? He's still the same. He doesn't remember anybody's name. He's like, "Hey, abuelito, like, I'm here. Like, do you remember me?" Looks blankly at him. So he's disappointed, and so my dad at this point is like, "It is what it is," and he's stepping out from the nursing home. But before he steps out, one of the nurses, stops him, tells him, "Hey, how is he related to you?" And yeah, my dad tells him, "That's my grandpa." The nurse said, okay. So that man, I have been working with him since he stepped into this nursing home. He has never remembered my name. Today is the first day that he has remembered my name.
Alzheimer's is a disease that is not, you can't reverse it.
Exactly.
It deteriorates your brain cells,
Right.
and there's a way to prevent, or not prevent it, but stop it little by little, but
Yeah.
you can't reverse it.
Exactly.
And what happened with your grandpa was that it totally got
Let's fast forward 2 weeks later from that event. He remembers everybody's name. He remembers his daughters, he remembers his sons, he remembers his grandchildren, he remembers absolutely everything. 100%. It was as if his brain became totally new to its 100% full potential. And that's where my parents set up this foundation of God in our life. And they started going to church, and I started going to church, and I love it. And I had somewhat a sense of what was going on, but I didn't understand the gravity or the weight of that miracle and or what it meant at the time because I was only 12 years old. 19 years old, my parents open up a church and I am preaching and I am getting invited to places. It starts off small from my local church, and then all of a sudden, people love, like, hey, I have a friend that told me about you and that you preach. Like, can you come preach over to my church? And so on and so forth. And so there's momentum, and with momentum comes crowds, and with crowds comes this idea of pride in me that I'm like, yeah, it's because I'm a good preacher. That's why I have all these invites. So I was getting it twisted at that point. So and now at this point, I'm trying to get more knowledge of the Bible. I'm trying to get more knowledge on how to speak publicly, but I am losing the essence of what is true of God being in that message. And the reason why I never really had that included into my message was because I had never had an encounter, a real encounter with God. I had encounters that I had seen, testimonies of people that had encounters with God, but never personally myself. And so this happens from 19 to 23. I'm started getting invited to all these places, even outside of El Paso. I'm preaching over in Arizona. I'm preaching over in New Mexico. I'm preaching over in California. I'm preaching over in parts of Mexico. And so, and it's long missionary works too. It's months that I'm out of the country at this time, and I'm just preaching. And every weekend I was preaching and preaching. And but at the same time, I didn't really have that real experience with God. This whole time I was just living off of other people's experience. So I hit 23, I come back to the US, and I am doing my own thing. I am having my own secular friends. And at this point, I had never drank, I had never partied, I had never done anything like that. But I'm slowly getting pulled back into that world. And so I start drinking, I start partying, I start clubbing. I stopped going to church. I stopped reading my Bible. I stopped praying, and I'm just doing my own thing. And it gets so bad that I have in a sense of like of God and everything. I am living this life so recklessly, but God had always been calling me. He has always been trying to pull me in back to my purpose. And one of the experiences that I told you about, I was at a bar, a random bar, 1 in the morning, and God is calling me for purpose. That night, I felt like something was off. 1 in the morning, everybody's drunk around me. I'm drunk. There is this one man that is just looking at me and just glancing at me, and he just approaches me all of a sudden, and then he tells me, "Hey, I want to buy you a drink." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then so he buys me a drink, and then we do cheers. And then after that, he asked me, "Do you know why I bought you that drink?" And I told him, honestly, no. Surprised me. And so he tells me, "Because you look like a Jesus guy. You look like you follow Jesus. That's the only reason why I bought you that drink." That I we laughed. We both laughed at that point. I gave a nervous laugh. He was more of like just a regular drunk laugh. He walks away, and I chug my beer and I leave. I literally just, I don't even think about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
Why did you chug the beer if you felt the conviction?
Honestly, I was drunk. I was like super, super drunk. But it's those things that I wasn't thinking through. I guess, what is it called? Like, it was a reaction. Boom, just chug it. I'm out. Like, I'm done. I didn't even tell anybody that I was with. The group that I was with, I just left.
And you didn't tell nothing to the guy either. You didn't respond.
Nothing. We just laughed it off. He went his way, I went my way, and that was it. That was it for the night. And so God was already pulling me in. That was roughly when I was 24ish, around there. All of a sudden, I have this dream, and in this dream, God speaks to me about my brother. My brother at that time, he's 14 years old. and I just know, I have a sense that it's something bad that's about to happen. Even though I had not stepped into church for the longest time ever, I knew when God would talk to me through dreams. I knew when it was a God dream. So that right there was a God dream. So it kind of like wakens me up. Something happens in me that I'm like, I gotta pray. I gotta pray. So I'm praying for my brother. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I just know something bad's gonna happen. And so a week passes by, and all of a sudden I get a call from my dad. And then when I answer that call, my dad tells me, "Hey, you gotta come to the hospital because your brother's in the hospital." I'm like, "What? Like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on?" I remember that day, my brother approaches me. My little brother approaches me. He tells me, "Hey, I'm gonna go to school, but I'm gonna be riding my friend's car. Like, I'm not gonna drive. It's gonna be my friend driving, but I'm not gonna take the bus. Just letting you know." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Just be safe." And so I had that feeling throughout the whole week. And he, I, I don't know why I take it so casually. I'm just like whatever about it. But that's when I get the call of my dad that he had been in a car accident. If you would have seen the car, Eric, it was smashed, and it's one of those car accidents that you just want to look away because it looks that bad. And so I get to the hospital, and once I get to the hospital, they tell us straight out, right now he's not responsive. His vitals are all over the place, and he tells us straight out, within 24 to 48 hours, I cannot guarantee that your family member is going to survive. How do you tell that to a 14-year-old, to parents of a 14-year-old, to a brother of a 14-year-old? It shocks your world forever. And so 24 to 48 hours pass by. I'm pissed off at God. I'm pissed off at the world. I'm pissed off of all the phone calls I was getting, all the messages I was getting. "Oh, I know what you're feeling. Oh, I know, like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear what is happening. I just got the news. I don't want to answer any calls. I don't want to answer to anybody. I'm just pissed." 24 to 48 hours pass by, and they tell us his vitals are okay, but he has to be flown out to San Antonio, where they're going to be treating him because they have the best children's hospital in Texas. And so you guys got to go out there. So my brother gets flown out through those helicopters. We go driving to San Antonio, and literally we drop everything. If you really want to experience real life, is go to an emergency room. That's where you will see real life happening. People don't care about bills at that point. People don't care about their bank's account, about their money. They don't care about their 401k. Where is their investment? They don't care about none of that. They only care about life and what's gonna happen for that day. And so I'm getting sucked into this situation, and I'm seeing all this happen, and I had never felt lonelier than ever, which I had already been dealing with throughout the whole time, even since I had, learned about church and about the Bible and about praying and about preaching. I was still suffering with this crazy depression that I could never rub off of me. It's like this dark cloud would follow me all the way around. Wherever I would go, it would just follow me. So now I'm in a hospital, and we literally don't know anyone in San Antonio. We cannot afford an apartment there. We cannot afford a house there. We're literally living there in the hospital. Like, we're literally sleeping in the waiting rooms of the hospital. We would wake up to ladies trying to mop. "Hey, like, hey, mijo, I'm sorry, but can you move? Like, I'm really sorry, but I gotta do my job. You understand it?" Funny enough, that's how I encountered God. I never encountered God when I was learning about the Bible. I never encountered God when I was learning how to pray. I never encountered God when I was at church. I never encountered God when I was preaching. I encountered God in a hospital.
What do you mean by encountering God? Because I'm pretty sure that, I mean, you felt the conviction when you were at the bar drinking.
Right.
You preached about Him. You have seen miracles like in your family. What do you mean that you had never encountered Him?
Because I was never in a place where I had to fully depend on God. And that's where I was fully depending on God, because the diagnosis of my brother was that he's going to be a vegetable for the rest of his life. How do you fight that? And it's not coming from just anyone's opinion. It's coming from a neurosurgeon that has been doing it over 15 plus years. And he told us straight out, he told us, I've been doing this for decades. Like, I'm not trying to be the bad person here. I'm just telling you, get used to this type of living because it's going to happen. Get used to all of these machines because that's what your son is going to have to use from now on so that he can live. And so, praying against that and praying for miracles. And we would see miracles. If you're laying down and you get up, for us, it takes us 5 seconds. My brother took 3 months to learn just how to get back up. So we're fighting this neurosurgeon that he's saying it cannot be possible. How is he out of a vegetable state? He was never supposed to get up. And so we're seeing small miracles. We're seeing his hands move. We're seeing him walking again. We're seeing him balancing himself again, learning how to eat again.
What you experienced with your grandpa's grandpa, where the Alzheimer's reversed,
Mm-hmm.
that you experienced it when you were 12 years old with your family, right? But now you're seeing it person to person now as a grown up with your brother on the daily basis.
Yes, on my daily basis and daily trusting in God for miracles, daily trusting in God and seeing the outcome of what God can do. Because only God can do this, bro. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Neurosurgeons, doctors, they would always have this meeting, right, of over 20 doctors in one meeting room, and they would tell us the diagnosis. Look, he's doing like this, and his vitals are here, and this is what he's going through. Like, what else can we tell you guys? Just get ready because he's gonna have to go back home at some point, and you guys are gonna get familiar with all these medicines that we're telling you, all these diagnoses that we're telling you. Just get ready for it. But for them to see the miracles too with us, there was this lady that she was doing the physical therapy with him, and she had no hopes. Like, we will try our best for him to get moving something, because he was in a vegetable state. And then one time, after months, bro, of doing this over and over and over again, my brother just randomly one day decides to just get up and just stand up on his feet by himself. Dude, it brought the physical therapist to tears because she herself knew that it was not going to happen. And that's God, bro. And that's how I became stronger in my faith. And that's where I had my encounters with God in the loneliest times, in the most crazy place that you can encounter God, in a hospital, not even in El Paso, and somewhere in San Antonio. No friends, no family around, just me and God.
The doctors weren't even trying at that point because they knew that it was irreversible, right? That they
Yeah.
couldn't do nothing about it.
Yes, exactly. And so imagine having, like, I saw my parents, and I can tell you, Eric, so it's the neurologist, it's a desk, and then my parents and myself. And the neurologist is showing the screen, right? He has a huge screen right here, monitor, and he's showing him, look, this is your son's brain. It's brain dead. It's brain dead. And this is the cool thing. I want to finish with this, bro. It's brain dead. All of it. It's gray. Like, there's no activity happening. He said, and he told us, just get used to it. I'm sorry, but the report shows that there's no activity in the brain, and he's gonna be in a vegetable state forever. So he tells us that. My parents are crying, right? When he starts moving a little bit and having like these movements in bed, from like his fingers, his toes, they got so curious. They did an MRI again on his brain. They did a CT scan, and they reviewed it again. Crazy, bro, how God is, right? Crazy. It's the monitor screen, it's the brain, it's all brain dead. And he takes us back to his office and he says, look, I don't know what's really happening here. We're going to be monitoring it, but these are the new scans that we received. Right in the center of the brain, it's like your brain is separated into two hemispheres, right? Right in the center of the brain, there was life. It's like, I don't know how that happens. Like, I cannot explain it, but I can dictate to where he's gonna have to go next. Physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. But it's funny, bro. Like, he wanted to try and show himself as an expert, saying, "Oh yeah, because there's this activity now, this is what we're supposed to focus on." But he never really identified on how that activity started happening in the brain. it was only God. And my parents told him straight out, bro, in his face. They told him, "You see, we told you that our God is real."
There you guys have it. That's Raul's testimony. So stay in touch for more testimonies like this. This is Eric from Christian Outlets. God bless you guys.
Thank you so much.